But of course, Deloitte Nigeria yesterday issued its 2019 Nigeria Cybersecurity Outlook, a two-pager talking about what we need to focus on this political season. But of course, there's something in there for those in business and regulators, how to keep a very one permanent eye, as it were, on cybersecurity. The author of the report, Tokwe Aladinusi, is live here in the studios with us from Deloitte, Nigeria. Thank you very much. It's good to have you.
Thank you very much.
Great. When we talk about cybersecurity, this report speaks to Nigeria's political period. Cybersecurity has become a political issue, not just beyond those days when it was just trying to hack into companies or hack into banks' vaults and try to take out money. Now, cybersecurity or cyber issues have gone into the political election, whatever arena.
Yeah. Yeah, so...
why is that so?
Why it's so? Because just like you said, it goes beyond bank. Anywhere you're using IT, you're using computers to do business, to transact, to store value, to store information, there is that risk of exposure to cybersecurity. Right now in Nigeria, we have our voters database, and all Nigerians who are required, eligible Nigerians who are required to go register. The vital details about them were taken, like biometrics, name, age, sex, and everything. Now, all these things are stored, in electronic format, and because they are stored in electronic format, the result will be collected in electronic format. That is now giving has increased the threat landscape, such that in the area of politics, we can now start looking at cybersecurity.
Is this a politically motivated attacks will be on the rise with the upcoming elections, and that at least the presidential elections is just 16 days from now, just about 2 weeks, technically speaking.
Yeah. So when we say politically motivated attack, we're talking about attacks that are targeted at maybe government or government officials for maybe reasons that are politically motivated. For instance, you recall in the US and Kenya, at the end of their elections, we had issues of cyber breaches, being the subject of discussion. Now, for Nigeria, we may not have such level of sophistication in our systems, but because some people may be aggrieved, they may want to do things to show that they are aggrieved with the system. For instance, in the 2015 election, the INEC website was hacked, and it was reported that it was hacked, and there were evidences that were put online that this website was hacked. Now, if it's INEC that keeps our database, their website could be hacked, it only shows that we have systems in government that can easily be hacked. And what happens is that when people can hack those systems, they can have access to government information. They can just do things to show that, they are not happy with the system, and make government to look not too good. So at this period, we see people, beyond going out to demonstrate and raising placards to say we are not happy with what has happened, there are other ways they can do it. And one way we've seen them done it in the past in Nigeria and other parts of the world is using cyber.
Sitting in some dark rooms with a laptop or a computer, right?
Yeah. So the good thing about cyber is that its boundaries are meaningless. So somebody can be in the US or in China and attack systems in Nigeria. So we may have somebody that is not happy with the system and be any part of the world. As long as there's internet connection, it doesn't matter. It's as though you are in the same building. And with that, they can do whatever kind of malicious intent that they've thought about.
So they can manipulate things, isn't it?
Yeah.
So cybersecurity regulations is always an issue, and regulators not only here but around the world is trying to play catch up. And it looks like the folks in the cyber rooms are usually one step ahead.
Yes.
Almost always.
Yeah, almost always, because many times regulators, it is when a problem has happened, they now begin to think of how to fix it. Whereas the bad guys are always thinking of creative ways of, doing things, breaking into systems, enriching themselves, and, achieving several malicious intent that they may have.
We've seen some cyber attacks, of course, somehow reported in the banking system in which hundreds of millions evaporate.
Yes. So there are various types of attacks. There are some that, when hackers attack systems, they have different intentions, just like I mentioned earlier on. And so the banking system is usually the most targeted because when you attack a bank, you are touching money directly, and you can move money from one system to another. But there are different forms of attack that goes beyond just trying to move money. Let me give you an example of the use of a ransomware. A ransomware is a program, it's a malicious program that goes into your computer and encrypts it. What I mean by that is it decodes it. You cannot have access to that machine until you pay a ransom. So it's just like cyber kidnapping. They kind of kidnap your systems and ask you to pay a ransom. So even the banking system, even though many times people attack them to take money, other systems are not immune, other industries are not immune, because somebody can just put the ransomware in your system and encrypt your entire server. And once you cannot do business with your customers, then you start losing money. And so you are also losing money in another form of cyber attack that is different from the conventional way that banks have probably lost money in the past, whereby somebody goes into the system and tries to move money from one maybe account to the other.
What should businesses think of and do? Again, this is Deloitte, one of the big four in the world, the largest professional services and you into audit, investigation, and all of that, advisory and a whole basket of others. Are we seeing an increasing incidence of cyber threats and actualities, as it were, and how are businesses responding?
I like the fact you mentioned that Deloitte is one of the big four, but we're not just one of the big four. Deloitte is the largest firm. And in terms of cybersecurity, we've been rated a leader in the last 5 years globally. Now, one of the things we have seen is that businesses, many times they initially thought cybersecurity was an IT issue, and they didn't pay attention to it. So they say, oh, cyber, oh, the IT guys will deal with it. But right now they see that monies have been lost, reputations have been damaged, and so they are beginning to pay attention to it.
So it becomes a boardroom issue.
Exactly.
It's not just the IT department downstairs.
It's not a boardroom issue. We've seen many boards that have been fired. Even in Nigeria, we had issues last year where some companies' boards were affected because of cybersecurity issues. So the landscape has changed. It's not as it used to be before. And therefore, businesses must be more proactive this time around. First of all, I recommend they should perform like a cybersecurity health check. The same way you go to a doctor and you check yourself and you say, I want to know the state of my health, you need to expose your system and stop having this false illusion that you are not affected. You can be affected. For instance, there was a particular, we've seen companies that just issue email instructions to bank to pay money. And one day somebody cloned that kind of an email and issued instruction for the money to be paid to his account. As simple as that. So you need to know what are the kind of risks that you are faced with. And once you know the kind of risks that are peculiar to your own organization, you now begin to design strategies to address them from the area of people, process, and technology.
So the simple email requesting Deloitte to pay me could be?
Yeah, I could just change the account number in the email. I intercept the mail, I change the account number, and I pass it to you. And the person
passes to the bank.
Yeah. And the person that is inputting it just puts in the account number and puts in the amount, and the money is gone.
Don't teach me bad things. I don't want to be taught. I don't want to learn those bad things. I want to stay the very narrow, straight path. Because it looks like a lot of things, the world of web and digital, whatever it is becoming a lot more sophisticated. I'm sure this is costing businesses a lot of money to put measures in place, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's costing a lot of money. As a matter of fact, even the money that we lose is also one part of it. Like 2 years ago, the Honorable Minister mentioned that annually Nigeria loses 127 billion naira from cybercrime. So that's a lot of money. Now, beyond the losses, businesses may need to, put things in place, put measures in place to address cybersecurity. And it's not always costly. Many times it's just basic common sense, knowing what is peculiar to you and how to address the peculiarities in your own environment.
Maybe human capacity,
Exactly.
Human resource issue?
Yeah, human resource is key. Right now, in the cybersecurity world, we're beginning to say that awareness is one of the most effective means of cybersecurity, because in cyber, you are secured as your most uninformed user. So you can see somebody, a cleaner in an organization that goes into the system and is able to maybe put a flash disk that contains a virus or a malware into the system, can affect the entire company. So awareness is becoming very key, apart from having some form of education to develop those who are specifically charged with cybersecurity.
How much attention should the government pay to this? I know you spoke about 129 billion naira we lost, but
yeah.
We're going to introduce more electronic form of doing things. For example, the Minister of Petroleum Resources is talking about how to use electronic means to track crude oil production and vessels doing business in our oil sector. So this is strategic national interest in terms of economic value.
Yeah, and if you look at everything happening in Nigeria right now, we're going electronic. We're trying to make things easy. We're trying to make it convenient for the users.
Automation.
But those convenience come with their associated risk. It's like they say, new level, new devil. So you step into a new level of automation, of communication, but that level comes with its own sets of devils which you need to address. And I think government should pay serious attention to this. The banking industry, they are doing very well. The CBN is really churning out a number of regulations to make sure that the banks are protected. But beyond the banking industry, we expect other regulators to begin to take this very seriously, because daily it's affecting lives. People are losing money, and it's also affecting security.
I agree with you. I think it was reported a few days ago that between the telecoms and the banks, a kind of fight is beginning to come out as to who's responsible. The banks are saying, look, you guys have the technology that makes people commit fraud.
Sure.
And the telecoms say, hey, well, sorry, it's not ours. Well, ours is just to provide a platform. We don't know what folks do with it. I think that hits it on the head. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
It's good to have you here, and do have a great weekend. Dr. Kaledi Lucy, who is a partner and the head of cybersecurity services at Deloitte, Nigeria. When we come back, of course, is Deloitte in Dialogue, talking about the Nigerian economy, a two-part presentation by the Honorable Minister of Finance, then her colleague at the National Budget and National Planning. Yesterday, a very robust conversation and enlightenment on where the economy goes from here.